Built Better, the podcast for home improvement contractors by Modernized Home Services.
On this episode of the Built Better podcast, we're welcoming Yuri Turk, creator of Modernized Connect, to take a closer look at how SMS marketing has changed the home improvement industry and effective tactics for getting in contact with homeowners. Yuri's background is pretty diverse, so I can't wait to get into this with him and just kind of unpack where he came from and what he's doing now and some of the future for SMS and just marketing in general. Welcome, Yuri. I appreciate you coming aboard and talking with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Great to be on. Appreciate the time and happy to break down Connect and explain where it came from.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So for the listeners that don't know, Connect is an omnichannel, but really geared towards text messaging communication platform that Yuri had built, and now Modernized has productionalized and sent out to market as Modernized Connect. And before we dig into the Connect product, because I don't want to get this to be kind of an infomercial. I just think the product is great, and I want to make sure everybody knows about it and has an understanding of how to use it and all the bells and whistles, right? But Yuri, I mean, you're a pretty interesting guy from my knowledge of your background. Why don't you just give the listeners a little bit of an idea of kind of who you are and where you came from? You're in Israel right now, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly correct. I'm in Tel Aviv, a couple minutes from the beach, and enjoying the soon-to-be sunset here. Basically, so my background, I'm 36. I've been living here in Israel and Tel Aviv close to 5 years at this point. I grew up in Miami and lived in New York for a while. Went to college in New York, lived there for a long time in the city afterwards. And I mean, it's really funny in terms of my background and how I got into home services. I was working a bit for a large healthcare company in New York City. Actually, that had to do with long-term care, like nursing homes. That kind of industry. I was working there and in the marketing department, and I always wanted to try to start something on the side in terms of having to do with texting and related to nursing homes. That's kind of where the idea started, but we can get into that.
Gotcha. So you started out in the healthcare industry, Tel Aviv. Now, years later, you've got the Connect platform here. About what year did you actually start the kind of the ideation and started creating that? Just tell me a little bit about how kind of all that started.
Yeah, definitely. So just going back to the days at the healthcare company, so this goes back around 7 years ago, I would say. And back then, online reviews was still pretty much in its infancy back then, not as saturated with companies as it is today. So I wanted to do something with SMS related to online reviews for the nursing home specifically. So that was something that I wanted to get into. And did not go anywhere. I got exactly 0 clients. I had no idea what I was doing. I had a developer that I built some type of prototype that it worked, but it was not anything impressive, to be honest. So started off in that world, and then in terms of how I got to home services, I just randomly heard about a convention of different franchise companies in New York City in the Javits Center. I just saw some ad for it or something like that. I don't remember exactly how I heard about it. I said, hey, let's just go. Why not? Network, meet people, talk to people. Let's learn more about SMS. I know that I wanted to stay in that lane, showed up to this convention. Really did not have a plan, but just said, hey, why not? Let's just go. Just started talking to just people at different booths from all different industries, anything from retail to hospitality, etc. Turned the corner, walking down this aisle and I see this booth for a company called Restoration One. I'll never forget. Started talking to them, really nice father and son team from Texas. The father was an experienced entrepreneur. This was like not his first franchise they started, and there was no one at their booth, so we just started talking, and that's the first time that I heard about the whole lead generation companies, the whole lead generation world, how the whole process works. I knew nothing about it, coming from the healthcare space, but that was it. And then I just kind of not to get too in depth unless you guys want me to, but as I'm talking to them and he's explained to me how the leads work, and the leads are sold to multiple contractors, they have to follow up. But already back then, SMS was very powerful, not as much as today, but it was already an emerging force. There's no doubt about it. So the first thought that I had, because I was already working on something, SMS related for nursing homes, which again went nowhere, but because I was already working on something like that, so the first just popped into my head right away, oh, cool, now I understand how this lead process works. Do you guys have some type of automated SMS follow-up tool, right? Just made sense to me. And then he thought about it for a minute. He said, no, and if something like that existed, I probably would have heard about it. So, I'm thinking, okay, like I gotta look more into this, right? This is interesting. Again, knowing nothing about home services at all, right? But I went home, I did some more research. I signed up for one of these lead generation companies, don't want to say which one. I signed up as a contractor so I could understand how it worked from the inside. Now I'm a paying customer, reached out to them, asked them to help me connect to my SMS company, right? I had this other, obviously I didn't say it was me, but figured it out relatively quickly and just started running with it. It was a very different looking platform, but that's how it started. So long answer, but there you go.
So you're not a developer. So you basically learned how to code for this product kind of on the fly. Is that right?
Well, I cannot take that much credit. I did not even learn how to code, meaning I found a developer, Evgeny, right, who's actually with Modernized with us today. I mean, he built it from zero, right? Back when it was supposed to be for nursing homes and we had some type of half-working prototype till today, he built everything. So I'm extremely lucky that I connected with him. Yeah, I mean, my advice, anyone that wants to try to start something is do not do what I did. You'll save a lot of time and money, but that's how it happened.
I'm curious here, when you were doing this research, so you met this Restoration One, you saw an opportunity and then you did research. Like, was there anything that really stuck out to you in the research that, I don't want to say was an epiphany, but really made you think that there was a clear opportunity in the contracting space?
Once I understood the flow, right, of how the lead goes to the contractors, it just nowadays that method, that model is soon to be outdated, meaning the method of just selling homeowner leads to contractors, walking away saying, hey, good luck, I know that you're going to call them, it's going to be very hard to reach them on the phone. That we need to be more empathetic, we need to be more helpful in terms of the whole journey from the lead becoming an opportunity to closing the job, and that's just what I was thinking about when I heard that they don't have any type of automated follow-up, because it just does not make sense that something like that did not exist. So I just built it.
So I just built it. Famous words of an entrepreneur.
Well, let me rephrase that. I just built it. I should have just built better.
Oh, look at that. You're just like tickling my my pun and dad joke heart right there. So, there you go. There you go. So let's dig into a little bit of how the platform functions. Obviously, I think we all know intuitively we're in 2022. I mean, I don't really if anybody calls me out of the blue anymore, it's weird. It's like an emergency. You know, my generation, I'm a millennial, getting up there. But yeah, we just text, not even, maybe not even just text anymore. It's, email communication, all the Wi-Fi stuff. But let's talk a little bit about kind of how the Connect platform, just the idea of texting, why that's so important beyond just kind of where we intuitively think about it and
Yeah.
kind of the effect it's having on the marketing industry as a whole. You touched on a little bit about how that game is kind of changing with the lead generation and just reaching out to homeowners in general. Why don't we expand a little bit about
Um,
that?
So the first thing to understand is that most of these guys are not part of a huge company, and they have with tons of marketing support. They might have a couple trucks. They're all the time. They're always running around. They're busy. They're driving. They're at a job, nighttime, weekend. They're not able to follow up quickly. And these homeowner leads are expensive, as we know. And and whoever gets there first is in the best position. And when I say get there first, get there in the most the most effective way nowadays, which like you just mentioned is text. SMS is no doubt about it. My grandma is 89. She texts me sometimes, not all day, but she texts me. So I mean, it's the way of the world. I mean, Modernized just recently last month ran a big survey of homeowners. Over 47% said they want to be reached via text. That was higher than any other way. And it's just, again, 98% of texts are seen within 90 seconds. I mean, I can write all these stats off. We all know them. So that's really where the platform was born. Contractor Texter. That was the genesis of it, starting from text message. Like you said, now we are omni-channel. We're also doing auto calls and auto emails, but we can we'll go a bit more in depth about those in a second.
Gotcha. Chris had mentioned to me, maybe Chris, I could bring you in here to talk about it, but do you know when the first text message was actually sent out?
Oh, I do, Dom. I thought this was hilarious because I remember a contractor back in the day used the sort of the description of contractors with technology as like dragging their knuckles. Especially when it comes to like nurturing leads, which I find somewhat ironic because when it comes to building materials and like innovation, they tend to be a little bit more on the savvy side. But in that statement, I looked back at text messages, which the first text message came out on December 3rd, 1992.
Wow.
Which blew my mind. One, because of how old we are, when we say that stat, but I mean, we're talking about technology that is 30 years old. And when I think of contractors not leveraging a 30-year-old technology, more or less, obviously it changed a little bit, that just blows my mind. Like just blows it. Because I do believe the phone has gotten very crowded. To your point, Dom, I mean, she's Louise. I don't answer my phone all that much. It's so much easier for text. We're all busy. And I think text is just such a great way to communicate with people. So yeah, 30-year-old technology.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like I should have known that, but what was great about when I started the platform and started the marketing right away, I got clients from day one really because most of them understand, of course, the importance and the power of texting, and they're doing it themselves, but they're doing it manually. They're not able to do it quickly. They're at the job, etc. So the fact that they already understand the power of text, then we come in and say, hey, we have this automated SMS platform that'll do it for you. It'll do it faster, more effectively, with the logo and with automated follow-ups and the whole sequence, it was very attractive to them. So it was something that they understood right away.
But anyway, yeah, some of the stats that I saw from our survey was like 58% of consumers actually believe that SMS is the most effective way to brand communicate. And then there was another one, and this was really interesting to me, that 51% of consumers are more likely to make a purchase if they receive a text message with images or media. And it kind of, I don't know why, but like, yeah, if I send you a picture, that makes you want to engage more and maybe buy my stuff.
So it's really interesting comment. So now Connect as it is today is a lead follow up service, right? We're doing it, of course, with the text, with the auto calls and the auto emails. But our vision is bigger, right? Where we want to take the platform where not only these lead follow-up texts, but also what we call the pre-appointment text, right? So imagine you're getting a text an hour before the tech comes out, a reminder that he's coming out, a picture, right? To your point, a picture in the text with the text face on it, that just makes everyone more comfortable, especially nowadays. So there are a lot of ways that we plan on taking this with pictures and without.
One of the things as you're describing this, I don't think we've used this word yet, but I constantly am thinking of it, is we're really talking about the consumer experience here. Like when that request comes in on a website, even if it is coming from a third-party website, the thing that we know is that the consumer is interested in that moment. Right? Like I always say, like, put yourself in their shoes. Like nobody throws their information on a website these days, especially our phone numbers, right? Like we're so guarded with that. And so I think about like, how quickly can we get from that press of a button that the consumer may have to filter through some lead company to get into the hands of a contractor and to start that customer experience or relationship, maybe even another way of saying it, that the contractor has with the homeowner. And this is an area that, although is getting a lot better, I think in the contracting industry, is not an area that has traditionally been embraced completely. Contractors want homeowners with a check, with financing approved, ready to start the work. And due to the internet and just the accessibility of information, like that journey starts a little earlier, right? It starts with, hey, I want to get a price. I want to understand my options. And so I think those companies that have the ability to provide a good experience, speed of response, be it a phone number, be it an email, be it a photo, to your point, showing up on time with a tech and a picture of that, I think that's a great customer experience. And I'll sort of sum all that up with, my wife had a really good saying. It was for employees in our company, but I think this applies to contractors as well, is like every touch point you have with the consumer is the opportunity to get the job. You don't get the job just when they sign the contract, right? We're too fickle as a society. Like if we don't have a good experience and you're not working hard to get my business, chances are when it comes to signing the dotted line, I'm going with somebody that was responsive, right? That replied to that inquiry, that provided a good experience. So I love the fact that you guys are doing more than just a text message. But it sounds like a lot of what you guys are doing is trying to provide a better experience to the homeowner.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great point. You spell that out really well, and I think Modernized deserves a ton of credit for recognizing this hole in the market, essentially, right, of the customer experience, where it's like I was saying before, the old days of just selling the lead, walking away, and then tomorrow selling another lead, like that it's not sustainable in its current fashion, and customers now demand more and expect more, right? And the old days of lead comes in and all of a sudden the homeowner is getting bombarded with phone calls, right? They're not expecting it. They fill out the form, all of a sudden they're getting bombarded with phone calls. Like as we've been saying, they don't necessarily answer the call. They're at work, whatever it is. Horrible experience for everyone, and that's what we're trying to improve here and optimize. Just a text, they can look at it, they're at work, whatever it is, they see it, they can respond to it whenever they want. We have recommended templates of whether, we want to send them to the pro's website or begin a conversation asking them when the pro, when they're available for a phone call, that we have different approaches, different templates and cadences. But yeah, it's all about the customer experience, and there's no doubt that that's what we're enhancing here.
So I'm going to bring some more stats here today. I'm going to be the stat guy. So just talking about phone calls alone, like robocalls, right? So on and so forth. In February, Americans received just under 3.8 billion robocalls. So that if it same pace from February it carries on to 2022 as a whole, that'd be 46 billion robocalls for the entire year. And if you just break that down just to the day, January itself in 2022, robocalls averaged 126 million calls per day and
Yeah.
1,462 calls per second. And that's actually up from 115 million calls per day and 1,332 calls per second in December. So, I mean, that just goes to show you the increasing amount of just bombardment that customers, homeowners really are getting. And so it just adds to the noise of it all. But what I think about is interesting there, Yuri, and you touched on it a little bit. I mean, this is an omni-channel communication platform. So the statistic that you threw out was something like 46% prefer text, but that means that 54% prefer other forms of communication. So if you're only saying, "Hey, I just only want to text with customers now because that's what they want," well, then really you're missing half the market. Am I right?
Yeah, no. So it's a great point. So first of all, that stat, I've seen stats much higher than that. Different studies. That study specifically was a Modernized study that we did recently. It was asking really texting in a different utilization, but regardless. But to your point, omni-channel. So we have the auto SMS, right? That's pretty straightforward with the logo. And then of course, automated follow-ups. If they do not engage with the text, automated, customizable follow-ups as well. Then we have auto email, which is very similar to auto text, right? That's pretty straightforward. And then third is we have the auto call feature, right? Which is a really, really cool feature where the goal is, right, as opposed to like you're saying, all these robocalls, we're trying to be, we're trying to reach them as quickly as possible, right? That's we all agree, speed to lead is critical here. So the way that feature works, as soon as the lead comes in, automatic phone call goes to the contractor first. If he answers, he'll hear a little greeting say, "Hey, you just got a new lead, John Doe, please hold." And then a second auto call goes to the homeowner. And then if the homeowner answers, then we connect them together, right? So we're trying to conference them together. So we're trying to hit them from all the angles, right? If they want the text, that's great. That's by far the most popular feature, but we also want to have the other two angles also.
Do you have an idea of, and I've seen the stats, so maybe this is a leading question for you, but do you have an idea
You're the
of,
stat guy.
I'm the stat guy, how the performance improves when you have all that omni-channel communication versus just a singular, maybe you're a guy that's just a traditional guy and you only call leads, right? And let's just say you call them a lot, but you don't maybe call them fast. You don't call them as much as you possibly could if you were automated. Do you have an idea of how the performance improves when you do throw a solution like this at that?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is around close to 50% engagement rates if you look at everything together, meaning if you look at text plus call plus email, right? So engagement rates being SMS engagement rate being if they reply back or if they click the link, if we have a link in there going to the website. So those are the ways they can engage via SMS, and then a phone call, of course, if the call is connected on both sides. So like I said, close to 50. For us at Connect, just to go a little bit more in depth, the call feature and the email feature, those are newer features for us. We historically we were always an SMS company, right? Therefore the name Contractor Texter. So the data that we have is really more on the SMS side, but we're working to get that on the call email side as well, that kind of omni-channel approach.
Yeah, you're saying something here that just resonates with me, and I think Dom and I have been preaching it since we started and got involved in this. Is just you have to have multiple channels to reach out to people. Like, you can't just be all phone. I don't think you can abandon the phone yet, as much as there's so many robocalls out there, and I mean, there's legislation that if it's spam, it just rolls in your voicemail. I mean, it's gotten much more crowded, but you can't stop doing that. That's how some people just communicate. And you can't just leverage text message all the time, right? I mean, and so I think there's email, which obviously is not something that gets leveraged by a lot of contractors. I'd even take it further. I mean, when we started this company, we used to knock on doors. I mean, that's how we got every lead. We knocked on every door that we could find. And, I think the point is having a very robust methodology in how you touch point with the homeowner is really critical. And that really just comes to like sort of like data management in some ways, right? And this is an area of the business that I don't think every contractor has fully embraced, right? They want to do the work. They want to go out there and meet the homeowner, give the estimate, produce the work. But let's be honest, like so much of it starts way before you even get the opportunity to go do the work. And so I think for any contractor listening, the big takeaway I'm hearing here is it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything at once, but you do have to have a system, an idea in mind of like, how will you reach out to those people that are providing their information to you? And I think the reality of it becomes is like, the more robust that system becomes, the more likely it is that you will drive your marketing costs down over time quite a bit. And this is one thing I really try to hammer in with contractors. We don't bring a whole lot of up in like the first conversation, but when you think of the lifetime value of a customer, right? When we're talking about remodeling projects, I mean, this could be a $5,000 project. This could be a $50,000 project. But when you start to fold in repeat business, the next type of job that you guys offer, when you start to fold in the fact that there might be a referral that comes as a byproduct of that, like, I mean, you could easily make a justification that the lifetime value of a customer can be in the hundred of thousands of dollars if nurtured correctly. So I really think that it paints a really strong argument for contractors to recognize, like, sure, there's some upfront cost, there's some time you've got to spend on managing your pipeline and creating a robust omni-channel. But at the end of the day, if you do that well, you sort of become insulated in the long run for any sort of downturn in the economy, from any lull that you might have in your sales process, because you have such a strong database of consumers. So that's one thing I'm sort of taking away from what you're saying, Yuri, is, land, sea, and water. You've got to really find a way to sort of attack the homeowner from a lot of different angles, because you really don't know exactly how they'll respond to you.
Yeah, 100%. It's we got to hit them from all the angles, and we got to let them respond to us in the way that they want. And the old thinking of just bombarding with phone calls, it's outdated. And it's funny. I would be on demos all the time, and contractors would say, I just want to get them on the phone. I just want to get them on the phone. And I would say, listen, we're an SMS company. I still agree with you. Getting them on the phone is the most effective. But nowadays, getting to that spot, getting to that place of getting them on the phone is harder nowadays. And you got to leverage the text to get to that phone conversation. And that's how we would describe it to them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that I want to hone in on. It's the people will talk on the phone. Like, I actually appreciate, as an older millennial, sometimes it's just easier to hash stuff out and get information quickly over the phone. You just have a higher bandwidth there, right? It's hard to text message and just get all the information to follow up and then the time it takes, right? But that's a really great point you bring up, is how to get somebody on the phone. It's really not about like completing everything via text message. And I think that's where people often mistake it for.
100%. I completely agree with what you just said. And that's why the templates that we recommend, the first text, so it'll say, hey, John, want a free estimate for your project? Please click the link. Thanks. The link going to the homepage or landing page, whatever it is. If they do not respond, the first follow-up that we recommend 15 minutes later, free estimate, please text back the best time for us to call you, right? Exactly to your point that, getting them on the phone is critical, but how do we get them on the phone? We cannot just keep bombarding them. We have to, nowadays we're all so busy, right? Just let's say just scheduling this, this podcast, right? Everyone is busy and so getting to that scheduled call, I think is a huge goal of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I think as more people kind of understand the platform and understand the usability, it'll make more sense as well. I want to dig in just a little bit about the usability of the platform for folks. I mean, if you're not a tech person, right? If texting actually is hard for you and setting up all the technical details of those types of platforms, this could sound daunting. So I want to break down a little bit of kind of the usability of it, what it really takes to get started for folks, and how do they manage it, over time.
Yeah. So the first super important point to bring up is that we're offering this for free, right? If Modernized if you're buying leads from Modernized, then you get Connect along with the leads product, if you so desire. Especially for our regional mid-market clients, there's no reason why they should not sign up with this for something like this, unless they have something in place already, which could happen. But that's very important. Keep in mind that we're offering this at no additional cost. So in terms of usability and signing up, it's extremely simple. We have a we have a little demo that we like to do. Schedule a demo through your account manager, or really it starts from the sales team, but hand it off to the account managers. Schedule a demo with the Connect team, it's a pretty straightforward platform. But of course, we want to make sure that they're totally on board and they understand how the follow-ups work and the alerts, etc. But once we do that demo, we go live usually the next day. So it's pretty straightforward. Really, nothing needed from a setup standpoint from the contractor. Once we do the demo, we explain everything, and then we just ask them what the cadence is that they want. Meaning, how many texts, how many calls? Do you want calls and email? You know what I mean? What's the breakdown of the cadences, and then we set it up ourselves for them.
How much time does that take, Yuri? Like a busy contractor, and he's like, look, I'm hella busy. Sounds great. Like, what are we talking about here? It's like 20 minutes of his time, an hour of his time?
Yeah, 15 minutes. I mean, the demo, we can do a demo in 10 minutes, and then we set it up. So we're talking, I mean, theoretically, we can be live the same day. We like to say a day or so just to give it a little space, but this is very minimal because once we know what the templates are that they want, right, the verbiage and the cadence, for the text and for the emails, and we set it up. It's real simple.
All right, I got to ask this question, and I apologize. I feel like I should know some of this information, but I wasn't completely aware this was like free for everybody. So this is phenomenal. Why would somebody not do this? Like, I mean, let's just assume they don't have this set up. Like, and I would be willing to bet the vast majority of contractors, let's just say, don't have this set up. So they don't have it set up. They're already getting our product. They have the ability to have another touch point with the consumer that's automated. It's super fast. It's going to increase their conversion rates. Why not do this?
That's a great question. We're seeing very high levels of adoption. I mean, we're of the new clients, the net new clients that are just signing up with Modernize, we're a very, very high percentage are going with Connect as well. You might have the enterprise level client that already has a call center and they have very strong processes in place. So a client like that, this would not be as relevant for. Again, if they have something else in place, but most of the smaller guys do not have something in place. And it's why would they not? I like it. You said it very well.
Yeah, for me, if I'm a guy doing maybe $500,000, $1 million, maybe I have a business that's between $2 and $4 million where we don't have a huge operation here, but we certainly have a lot of leads that we have to work, and there's a lot of opportunity in the market. The thing that I like about this, if I'm that guy, if I'm that business owner, we know 80-20 rule. Most of the revenue that's in the home improvement space is going to be captured by 20% really of the market. And that 20% is more of your enterprise business, right? They have the big systems, they have all that stuff dialed in, they have dedicated tech people that are fixing all that stuff. When I think about this levels the playing field across the industry. Now you've got somebody running $1 million, $2 million business, right? You've got a couple guys out in the field.
Yeah.
You don't really need a huge support system to run this product. This is pretty lightweight, right? So now you have access to the same pool of homeowners, the same really tech stack from the meaningful just usage, right? I mean, am I thinking about that correct, or am I off base there?
You're 100% correct. When I built it, when I was putting together pricing and everything back in the day, so that is exactly how I thought of it. Where I wanted to be applicable really to any business, from one guy in one truck. I had clients with over 20 locations that were using Contractor Texter, right? Because just like you said very well, right, it levels the playing field, and it's just something that they cannot ignore anymore, right? They need some type of solution like this, especially texting. And I mean, it's the automation, especially nighttime and weekend. That's when the platform even shines even more. Where I heard where companies that were hiring people just for the weekend lead follow up, and now they have a platform like this that can help them in other ways. And like I said, nighttime, holiday, etc.
I want to make a point here, because I know we keep assuming that big enterprise companies have got this figured out, but without putting anybody's name on blast, I don't know that I would just make that assumption point blanket. I mean, I know plenty of big companies where, yeah, they're big, but big does not mean better processes, more robust. It doesn't mean they're leveraging text message, all that good stuff. So I think this is applicable to even big companies that just haven't found the sweet spot from that. Two other things I want to note here, and I'm just putting like my business owner hat on. That's why I asked you the question, Yuri, of like, how much time does this take? Like really, like, if this isn't going to cost me anything, like how much time times money? So is this complicated? But the other thing that I think about too is like, let's wave a wand and assume somebody signs up, they take advantage of this. We're also talking about saving time for these people and saving money. Like, if you don't want to make a bunch of phone calls, which I don't know anybody that's pumped out of their mind to place a bunch of dial for dollars in some ways, like this saves time and this saves money. Technology is deflationary. Like this will lower their cost long term. So when I think of those types of things, I mean, there's really not a whole lot of skin in the game when it comes to like leveraging this technology, and it has the potential to save both time and money, which are so important these days. So I just wanted to call that out.
I cannot tell you how many calls I've been on, how many demo calls where the contractor, they tell me that where half their life is just spent chasing these leads. They're driving somewhere, they pull off on the side of the highway so that they can call them or text them. They're at nighttime, they're watching a movie, and then they because these leads are expensive, as we all know, and yeah, so I totally agree. I mean, what's the downside to at least trying it? But just to be clear, I mean, we have a few of Modernized's biggest enterprise clients using this also. So 100% it's applicable in lots of ways.
From maybe a legal or a regulatory standpoint, we all, I think, are aware that the phone call that, TCPA, the Telecommunications Protection Act, I believe it is, it places limits on when you can call and how many times you can call, and it has to be opt-in language for the consumer. How does that relate to SMS or texting in general? Are there differences there?
It's very interesting. So SMS in legally is very, very similar to phone calls with the TCPA. Email, they have their own canned spam act that speaks to email. So when you think of voice and robocalls and texting, those are grouped together. So 100%, it's a huge issue, and you got to be very, very careful. Not only to protect yourself legally, but also just what the theme that we've been talking about, just the empathy to the client, the customer experience. So when the homeowner is putting in their information into modernized.com, right, they're expressly giving permission, opting in to be contacted, phone call, SMS, email, whatever it is, by contractors, right? So the homeowner is giving, is opting in, giving express permission, for them to reach out or for Connect to reach out on their behalf. So everything there is totally above board, which was just another very powerful tool. The fact that a lot of the SMS companies, they do things in slightly gray ways, but this is 100% above board in that sense.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, just by virtue of working with Connect, you're getting a modernized lead, and the modernized lead, by virtue of being produced, the homeowner has to opt in. So you protect yourself in that way too. So you feel comfortable in being able to use the product and reach out to that consumer, right? we're running low on time here, so I do want to be respectful of Yuri's time because he has a main gig, and so do we all. So, I guess the last couple questions I have, I'm just kind of understand. We talked a little bit about when the first text message was sent out, and where it is today. Do we have an idea, just from a stat? I should have this stat because I'm the stat guy, but I don't know, like how many text messages are actually being sent out, just on a daily basis today. Do you have an idea of how many?
Okay, so we have the new clients and the modernized only clients that are on Connect, but then we also have the legacy contractor texter clients, clients that I had for years before, using different lead providers besides only modernized. So if we're looking at all that in totality, every month we're sending out around 150,000 SMS back and forth. Between 150, probably more, between 150 and 175,000 a month.
150, 175,000 just total text messages that are just being sent out per month.
Yeah.
Right. And you mentioned the engagement rate is about 60%.
The engagement rate, that's with phone calls. That's if we add in the auto call feature, right? So, and just to be clear, if they engage with one of the features, then the follow-ups are all paused, right? Meaning if they text back, there's no phone call, there's no follow-up emails, right? So everything is integrated in that sense. But yeah, so text alone, engagement rate, we see around 33%, SMS alone. But that number also fluctuates depending on how many follow-ups and if they're using our templates versus their own customized verbiage. So, but that's normally what we see if they're using our recommended templates, around 35%.
So you really do have to, have phone, you have to have email if you really wanted to get the full complement of the benefit of the product itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have, of course, different industries and different parts of the country and, different clientele, et cetera. But at least to start off, why not use all three and kind of see what works for you the best. But historically also, you use all three, we got to be better to be safe than sorry, better to hit them in more ways. We got to be smart with it.
Yeah. I want to make one last comment here too. I couldn't help, but as we're talking about this, I'm thinking of my wife, who, when we do projects, we sort of divide and conquer. She'll own a project and she sees it to fruition. So she's responsible for getting the bids and placing the phone calls. And for any person out there that has children, like, to find 5 minutes of time where you can literally talk on the phone, let alone even just have any sort of conversation, not to mention like busy lives and being on Zoom meetings, like, just the point being made here is that it is really difficult to find the space in our days to have a phone call, even if that is our intention sometimes. And so I think this is really where, like, I mean, obviously, like, I'm tiptoeing on a millennial as well here, of like, just the idea of, hey, like, text message provides such convenience for so many people. And it's not that we don't want to talk on the phone, but I mean, once again, if you have kids, like, you just don't get 5 minutes to talk to a stranger without being interrupted 10 times. And just the frustration of being interrupted is, in a lot of ways, worth not even taking the phone call in the first place. But a text message is a lot easier to like navigate, or an email is a lot easier to navigate, and essentially get whatever it is that you're looking to get facilitated. So just wanted to bring that point up there, because I know most homeowners, they have kids, they have a job, they're in an airport, and it's just not convenient to hop on the phone and talk to somebody, where it is really convenient and to respond via text and sort of get that process moving. So.
Yeah, agree with everything, no doubt. And I touched a little bit on that pre-appointment text that that we're working on. But besides that, we also have a post-appointment review text. That's a feature that we've built out already. We have it live actually, but we're going to be focusing more on that in the future. But so like I said, just kind of taking it from just a lead follow-up and building out a whole kind of ecosystem of other ancillary products that are relevant, that pre-appointment text, post-appointment text, and other ways we can be helpful. But in the end of the day, this just really makes Modernized stand out. There are no other large lead companies that do this, and I think that's just tremendous.
Yeah, I think it's really huge. And Yuri, I really appreciate you coming on and kind of digging deeper into the whole process here. There's so much to this. We could probably go on for hours and hours as we usually could with this podcast, but I definitely wanted to say thank you, and I can't wait to see how this product matures and see how many contractors get to utilize it. The feedback that I've gotten from the account management team here is that it's just been super helpful for all these guys that need this type of solution, which are pretty plentiful around the industry. So I think it's a transformative product, and I know it's only going to get better implementing some of the the post-sale type of review feedback and all that good stuff. So really exciting times. Any closing thoughts or jokes that you have in your back pocket here for me?
I mean, you're the stat guy, so
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was the joke guy, but no, this is great. I mean, I think it's just something that nowadays we just have to just keep innovating and just keep trying to be empathetic. The Modernized brand promise of just bringing the empathy to the whole journey, the whole homeowner contractor journey, and I think this plays a big part of that. That's not a joke. That was not my joke. But
Yeah, that's serious face. It is really important. I think homeowners, have been somewhat of an afterthought sometimes for, especially for the lead gen space, right? They've been just a number on a data sheet, and it's really important that we interact with them and give them a great, delightful experience and set them up well for the contracting teams to reach out to them and get them some great service and complete a job that's going to transform their lives. I know my wife loves her new bathroom, and the process of getting in touch with a contractor was really difficult when we tried to pick the right guy to do the bathroom. So if this makes that a little bit easier for other folks, then I'm really excited about it. So in closing, thanks so much, Yuri. Thanks, Chris, of course, as always. And if you like Built Better, please give us some love and leave us a review on Spotify or Apple. We'll see you next time.